screen. Someone somewhere bought a brand new rifle, pointed at a man holding a Bible. So sad you won't believe it, but I swear to God I've seen it right there on the TV screen. Shooting stars all burning up the night sky, something someone sees once in a lifetime. You gotta look on up for it's gone. Damn if we ain't fixed on a good for nothing cell phone screen. See the world, take it in, catch a sunrise with your own eyes. I wanna drive, wanna run till the wires run out. I need to heal, need to feel like I'm alive right now. Pull the plug, just shatter the glass, make it stop. These days under a rock doesn't sound half bad. Put me alone, sing along to a Redbird song. I wanna live like they did in the great unknown. Yeah, if you need me, I'll be watching a storm somewhere from a chair, just staring through a back porch screen. A baseball getting dusty at a Walmart could send a kid all the way to Wrigley Ballpark. It might be a Hall of Fame one, the whole world knows the name one, but he'd rather hit a home run on the screen. I wanna drive, wanna run till the wires run out. I need to heal, need to feel like I'm alive right now. Pull the plug, just shatter the glass, make it stop. These days under a rock doesn't sound half bad. Put me alone, sing along to a Redbird song. I wanna live like they did in the great unknown. Yeah, if you need me, I'll be watching the storm somewhere from a chair, just staring through a back porch screen. Take a good look out the window, keep it in your pocket at the rock show. Just give it a try. Every battery does, but your memory will never die. I wanna drive, wanna run till the wires run out. I need to heal, need to feel like I'm alive right now. Pull the plug, just shatter the glass, make it stop. These days under a rock doesn't sound half bad. Put me alone, sing along to a Redbird song. I wanna live like they did in the great unknown. Yeah, if you need me, I'll be watching the storm somewhere from a chair, just staring through a back porch screen. Yeah, through a back porch screen. See the world, take it in, catch a sunrise with your own eyes.
Holy moly. Hello out there. We're on the air. Welcome back. Oh, we got a nice view today, folks. We got a nice view here today. The snow has stopped. We got our co-host Arnie in the chat as well, or in the house. Good morning, Arnie. All right. That was one of my favorite songs, actually, called "Screen" by Hardy. And a couple reasons why we played that this morning. First one was that we've been doing the Bitcoin jukebox for the Rescue Dog Fund. And so every Tuesday, we're going to do a jukebox, just like at a pub where you put in some money. You can bump if you pay more. The newer ones, you can do that now. And same kind of thing here. So we're going to do that every Tuesday. But if somebody sends in a 10,000 sat zap, then they automatically get their song played on the next show. And so I wanted to give a shout out to Kennedy over on Nostr who zapped the Rescue Dog Fund 10,000 sats and didn't want to request a song. So I requested that one for us. And there's a reason I requested that one today. And that is because, just let me top up the Zap stream here quickly. Come on, Albie. Oh, you would be locked out, you son of a gun. See if I remember my password. Hey, I did. There we go. We're all paid up, Zap stream. Get off my back. Good to see the Zap streams working again. There's a couple people over there right now. Letha's over there. Good morning, Letha. So thank you to Kennedy for that. And the reason why I wanted to play that song is mostly because, you know, with everything going on right now, with the price running up all-time high after all-time high after all-time high, it's very easy to get caught up in that and just forget about everything else going on in your life in the real world here. Everybody's too locked into their phone. And I'm guilty of this myself, but I'm thinking there's people that didn't sleep last night because the price was running up. They didn't want to miss 100K, which, yes, we'll celebrate. Yes, we'll be happy. But at the same time, we can't spend our whole lives staring at a phone screen, watching a number, right? And as much as we want it to be 100K, a million, 100 million, like it'll get there, whether we like it or not, whether we want it to or not, whether we're watching our phones or not, it's going to get there. But we can't let this pass by because the only thing more scarce than Bitcoin is time. So don't, the song is about not spending too much time on your phone. Instead of watching it through a screen, you watch it in real life. And so I just figured it was a nice sobering reminder here before we get to 100K. Because again, then we're going to go to 105K and then 150 and 200, and we're just going to keep going that way. But we can't waste our whole life just looking at the price, the screen. So that was the message today. And a really good song too. Hardy's up there in my top 3 probably for artists. So great guy. Anyways, cheers. Cheers to 98K. Oh, we're going to have a good show today. We got lots to talk about. Lots to talk about. Where do we even begin? Let's start with this one because this is an important one from Timber Crasher, and he's the winner of the 88 sats this morning. I'm going to find Timber Crasher right now on the Nostr and send him a little zap. A little zapperoo. Timber Crasher, where are you? So this message here from Timber Crasher, almost like he knows what's happening today. Kind of smart if you ask me. But either way, we're talking about UTXOs today on the multi-generational wealth course. Let me just figure this out quickly. I forgot to share it on Nostr. Oh yeah. Okay. I try to get everything done in good time. Where are you, Timber Crasher? There we go. Okay, Zap. Frayed fixing 1 at mini bits. I'll zap a post instead. How about that? Timber Crasher, what? 29 days since your last post? Okay, I'm not zapping you anymore. 29 days. He's been busy. Timber Crasher's been busy. I know that. We'll give him a break. But you need to get back on Nostr, my friend. You need to get active again. Activate. Plunger over in Zap stream. Okay. There's the 88 sats winner today. Those 88 sats will be incredibly valuable one day. But he said UTXO management will be paramount. Consolidate those UTXOs while it's still cheap to do so. So what we're going to be doing today on the multi-generational wealth course, this is episode 4, and we're going to be doing it after the show. We got everything set up today. We're supposed to do it yesterday, but we had Robin Saylor on the show, so we didn't really have a whole lot of time to prepare. But we're going to be talking through UTXO. It's kind of not getting too technical. It's only going to be about 10 or 15 minutes of it. And I'm actually going to go through a real life example of how you should be managing your UTXOs what it looks like, things to look out for, some other stuff in Sparrow. I think that this one will probably be the most valuable episode in the course in terms of the key management and security is pretty important too. But I think there's going to be a lot of people, and I've already done this. I've already been through this before. I think there's a lot of people who are even watching the show today who are going to pay significantly in the future for failing to learn what a UTXO is, learning how to manage them, managing, consolidating right now. I told the story a couple of days ago, but it's worth repeating because I feel like there's a lot of people who are in the same kind of boat as I was in. And so every week, our plan here at this house, we would send money from ShakePay. This is when we were using ShakePay still. ShakePay to the cold card every week because we thought that was the thing to do. You buy Bitcoin, you get it off the exchanges, you get your cold storage set up. And so we did that every week. So we did that for about a year. And I mean, good on us. We got some Bitcoin out of it. But it cost us 225,000 sats to send it, to consolidate it. 225,000 sats. At the time, it was like $150. It was horrific. And thinking like 10 years from now, looking back on 225,000 sats, what that's going to be worth, just to send one Bitcoin transaction because we failed to manage our UTXOs properly. Not that we failed to manage them properly, we failed to understand what they were and know the significance of them. So it's important because we're talking about UTXOs today. The fees are low. Now is the time you want to be dealing with it, consolidating it. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. On the second part of the show. Okay, we got Waro in the chat. Morning, Sat Stackers. Incredible how the Sat dollar parity seems so reachable in such a near future. No one is bullish enough. I agree with that big time. Good morning, Daniel. We are winning. We are right about Bitcoin. Dale is in the chat. Our good friend from Regina, the city that rhymes with fun, and possibly the only brick and mortar Bitcoin store in Canada. I haven't heard of anything else. And I got a special announcement about QuickBit today. So stay tuned for that one. Duncan. Morning, everyone. The biggest risk in Bitcoin is not owning any. Oh, you ruined my surprise. Adrian's in the chat. Look at this. Good morning. A totaso, as Ricky would say. A totaso. Love that. Game 808. That's some good numbers in there. We got some cake. We're hitting high numbers here. Oh, we got cold deck with an E. Morning, folks. One piece of paper. 736 sats. Wow. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Okay, let's get to that. Speaking of that, thanks Cold Deck for the reminder. How's the mempool looking? Fees are low. Good time to consolidate your UTXOs. Good time to learn about UTXOs. 871, 349, 871,000 blocks have been mined since January the 3rd, 2009. F2 pool was the winner of the last one. 6 sats per VByte. Very low, I would say. It's a good time to consolidate. And we are way ahead. The hash rate is ripping. It looked like somebody turned on a whole bunch of miners this week. We'll take a look here in a sec. But look at that. This is our fourth or fifth straight difficulty adjustment upwards, which is a very good indication for Bitcoin. And this one's looking like a 10%, 9% upwards adjustment so far. Wow. Wow. I wonder what the highest difficulty adjustment ever is. I don't know that. Okay, so if you want to look at the hash rate, you can go there. It says mining at the top here. mempool.space/mining. This little hammer. Scroll down a little bit. You go to view more. You scroll up and you can see the hash rate and the difficulty adjustment. So this little line here, this pink line, that's the difficulty adjustment. That's one of the key aspects of Bitcoin in relation to time. Making sure that all the blocks come in on average every 10 minutes. If it gets too quick, they make it harder. If it's too hard, they make it easier. So that's the difficulty adjustment. And about a month ago, we hit an all-time high in hash rate of 795 exahash per second. So that was a big deal. That was a really big deal. 795. And yesterday or the day before, we hit 897 exahash per second. So you see that big jump there. It looks like it came down. So they must have turned it on and off. But whoever did that, that's a significant amount of power going into the network. So that's things that we like to see. Things that we love to see, actually, I would say. Okay, speaking of our parity here in Canada, let's check this out. Let's check out the metrics today. So, price today, $97,317 US. Wow. 1 year ago, you could have purchased a Bitcoin for $35,995 US. And 4 years ago, you could have purchased one Bitcoin for 18,641 USD. The Moscow time, which means if you have $1 US, how many sats can you get with that? Today, it's 1,025, getting scary close to 1,000 in the US of A. Moscow rich. If you want to be Moscow rich, you need 1 million sats, and that's going to cost you $976 US. And if we look back, close your eyes for a sec. If we look back to this time, so remember this number, 976. That's how much it costs you to buy 1 million sats today, which I think is the minimum if you want to have a real impact in Bitcoin. 1 million sats. So 976. So let's look at what it was a month ago today. $679. So in a month, it costs people, I mean, it's only $300, but at the same time, it's a big jump. We got lots of stuff going on here. This is the, I don't know why I put it on this spreadsheet, but I did a little video yesterday. First one I've did in a while outside of the normal show here, but I talked about MicroStrategy, what they're doing, the math, if it makes sense, why, and the pros and cons. So if you haven't watched that one yet, go check it out. It was about half an hour long, I believe. And it has everything you need to know about MicroStrategy in terms of the premium on it, in terms of, you know, what's the fuss all about. What did the MicroStrategy open at today? I think it was pretty high amount. Anyways, here in Canada, look at this number. Oh my God. Arnie, can you believe this? 136,000. You believe that? My God. 136,286 Canadian dollars. Moose Jaw time, which is the Canadian equivalent to Moscow time. 1 Canadian dollar only gets you 734 sats, but still a deal of a lifetime. Anytime you can trade fake money for real money, you're winning. And you won't always be able to do that. So keep that in mind. Moose Jaw Rich, you want to get 1 million sats, that's the goal. It's going to cost you 1,362 sats. No, dollars, not sats. 1 million sats for $1,362. Okay, one more exercise here. Let's look back here, 2023. Let's look at the first show I ever did about a year ago. November 22nd. Oh, we didn't even have Moscow time. Oh, yeah, we did. So it was 1988. That's how many sats you could get for 1 Canadian dollar 1 year, or about a year ago. Yeah, almost to the day. So with 1 Canadian dollar 1 year ago, you could have gotten 1,988 sats. And today with 1 Canadian dollar, 734. Wow. And the best part, we've only just begun. Bodie, good morning. Good morning. Never have enough Bitcoin, no doubt. Hey, we got Mr. James Bond in the chat today. Good morning, crazy people. Just saying hi. Going live now site. All right. Good to see you, my friend. Nimlord, how are we doing? We're doing great here. We could not be better. Life could not be any better. What was I going to do here? What was I looking at? Oh, the likes. I saw Bond's comment here. Beat Rick to it today. Beat our good friend Rick to the like department. Okay, we got 48 people in here, 22 likes. What? Come on. Come on, folks. Okay, let's see if the Zap stream's working. Okay, I see a few Zaps rolling in here. We got 210 and 69. Let's see if they're showing up in the sats.gg today. We can't forget about our Zap stream pals. Those are the real Bitcoiners over there in Zap stream. No, they're not. It's unfortunate. I don't know how to fix that. Anyways, if you're on YouTube and you want to partake in the fun, you can send some Zaps here yourself. Oh, and I don't have the phone on me today. Shoot. We'll get the thing up here though for Arnie. This is Arnie's wallet. If you can't scan that QR code, you can just send it to his email address. You want to say thanks to everybody who's been sending you sats? Okay. He's sleepy. He's been playing in the snow too much. Jason, good morning. Let's fucking grow. One of our Bitcoin journeymen. Good to see you, Jason. Brennan says, with the parabolic cycle over the next year, it feels like the DCA model gets thrown out the window since it's based on past performance. What could a little each month even do over the next 5 years? I'm not sure I agree with that one. I don't get the logic with that. I think the parabolic cycle is when you should be DCAing personally. I mean, I could be wrong about this. This is just my thoughts on it. But it seems to me like when the price is running up, you don't want to have cash on the sidelines. So we're kind of at the point now, and I know it seems like the price is going to run away from us and everything's so expensive, but you have to remember that there's like less than 1% of people in Bitcoin right now. So even if you're DCAing and you're getting, 20,000 sats here, 10,000 sats here, that's the only way I think now going forward. It doesn't make sense anymore to wait for a big drop because I don't think that that's coming anymore, truly. And I could be wrong. There'll probably be something that we can't even foresee. But to me, it doesn't make sense to have any sort of cash on the sidelines right now. So in my eyes anyways, the DCA model makes the most sense at a time like this. I don't know. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm way out to lunch. Jason, good morning. Good to see you, my friend. We got Mikkel. Sup, you sat stacking sleuths. New all-time high again. We're about to start nuclear World War III. Don't say that. Jesus. That's a savage thing to say. All right, we're on next up. The next Thunderstruck is going to be at 99. The great one. Ain't worth losing sleep over. That's what I'm saying too. It's like, okay, well, the price is up. That's kind of good, but also kind of bad because every time I exchange fiat now for Bitcoin, I get less Bitcoin. So I have no intention of selling any of my Bitcoin for at least another couple zeros to it. So it's like, why would I stay up? It'll be fun. We're actually going to do it sounds like we're going to do a show tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to go on Fractal Bitcoin's channel and we're going to do an afternoon show, have some beers. Hopefully we'll be at 100K. It'll be like our 100K party. I'm looking forward to it. Fractal Bitcoin, that guy really cracks me up. He's got good energy. I like him. Knox Bill, good morning. Nick into it. Cheers to you, my friend. Mikkel says the only thing worth losing sleep over is the Halo 3 release at GameStop back in 2007. I was never a Halo guy myself. I was more of a PlayStation fella. Parker, what's up, chat? How we doing, my friend? Long awaited. This Thanksgiving is going to be wild. Yep. I mean, Thanksgiving is already past here in Canada, but it seems like my kind of feel of the Bitcoin market in the last week is that people who are 50, 60, 70, 80 are now starting to ask questions. And you have to feel that'd be the baby boomer generation. They're starting to ask questions about Bitcoin. They're asking their kids who own some Bitcoin. They're reaching out to me about Bitcoin. They're noticing. And I feel, as much as people like to shit on baby boomers, I feel for baby boomers right now because they spent 40 years, for the most part, the majority of them spent 40, 45 years working at a job that they did not necessarily love. And they thought they were promised this retirement, golden age. And all of a sudden the pandemic hit when a lot of them were retiring. And then all of a sudden their savings started to melt fast. And so the baby boomers now are starting to say, okay, well, I might have to either go back to work or I'm going to have to start looking into this Bitcoin thing. Because they thought, they worked for 40 years. They were promised this pension. They were promised that they would be able to retire at age 65. And because our governments and the small group of people who have been able to print money and create money and devalue their savings, now they can't afford to retire. And so they're looking for a place to keep their wealth that they've accrued through the years, all the energy and time and value that they've added to the world. They're looking for a place to store that. And the answer to that is Bitcoin. And they're starting to look at it at least now. They thought they were good. They thought that Bitcoin was too risky. They didn't need it. They were looked after. They had their pension. Everything was good. But the last 4 years, their vacation went from $1,000 to $3,000. Their rent in Mexico went from $500 a month to $4,000 a month. And all of a sudden they're either going back to work or they're going to have to buy some Bitcoin. And it's a tough reality. It's going to be a steep learning curve for them. But luckily, most of them have kids. Most of them have somebody who can help them with it. And if you are a baby boomer who needs some help and you somehow came across this channel and watching the show today, the good news, you can reach out to me anytime and I can help you with that very easily. Not only buy it, but store it, make a plan. Talk about UTXO stuff. There's so much to know, but you just kind of have to start. All right, I missed a lot of holy shit skis. Okay, well, you know what? I don't know. This is kind of like a tough conundrum for me right now because we've done in the last couple of weeks, we've done plenty of 2-hour shows and I cannot be doing 2-hour shows every day. And the reason they're taking 2 hours is because I'm trying to get through every comment here. So what I would say, today we'll get away with it, tomorrow maybe as well. But going forward, I think we're only going to be able to, for sure, talk about things if somebody sends in either a Zap or a super chat. Because I can't get through all these comments anymore. It's a good problem to have, but it's just the reality of things here. Oh, sorry, Timber Crasher. It said 28 days on my thing. Hold on. We got some controversy. Maybe I shit on Timber Crasher for no reason here. Said the post you zapped me, I posted yesterday. This is what it says on mine. 29 days. Unless I zapped the wrong Timber Crasher. I don't know. I definitely don't mean to call you out. I'm just calling it as I see it, folks. Ian, happy Thursday. Hello, Sleuths. Brandon, good morning. Yeah, it might be something weird on Nostr's end. I trust you. Look at this from Dale. Bitcoin builders and businesses. When Bitcoin goes over 100K, we go to work. When Bitcoin goes below 100K, we go to work. It's about building the bridge to the other side. See you on the other side. Amen to that. And that's something that we need to be focused more on than anything else than the price is. I was thinking about this yesterday. Maybe this is a good opportunity. This was not part of my plan today in terms of what I wanted to cover, because we still have 10 things to cover in terms of what's been going on. But the one thing I thought about yesterday is there's 3 types of people in the world. There's people who are going to work 9 to 5, earning fiat, saving in fiat, living in fiat. That's most people. Second one, people who are working in fiat, 9-to-5 job, but turning all their fiat into Bitcoin. That's a fairly bigger amount, not bigger than the first part, but than the third part here. So that's a lot of people too. They're working, they're earning money, they're earning fiat, and they're converting that into Bitcoin. The third type of person is somebody who is starting their own business, starting their own venture, going their own way, taking the time now to build it. Even though they can't stack as much Bitcoin now, they're understanding the sacrifice that needs to be done if they want to be part of this whole Bitcoin thing and not be attached to a job. So the third person is starting his or her own business, earning in Bitcoin or converting the fiat that they earn in their business into Bitcoin and growing that now. So I would say that number two, the person who's going to work and converting to Bitcoin, has done the best probably in the last couple of years in terms of Bitcoin balance. But you have to remember that even though you have Bitcoin's doing well, you're still stuck to a job. You're still working for somebody else. And the third person, I don't mean to have my hand everywhere here, but the third person has been building. Even though it's been very tough in the last couple of years, and I can say this personally, but the people who are building in the last few years and who will be building in the next year, who are getting ready for what's coming here, and you don't have to be building in Bitcoin, but if you want, Bitcoin basically buys time. And what you want is time and freedom. And even if you're stacking Bitcoin, you got a lot of Bitcoin, even if you're still going to a job and working for somebody else, 9 to 5, and not being able to do the things that you want to do, I don't know. Is that the play? So what I'm saying is here, I think that a lot of people have to take a good look in the mirror and say, is this what I want to be doing? And if it's not, you're going to have to just put things aside a little bit. It's going to be very painful for a while. You might not get as much Bitcoin in the near future, but if you build something that you love doing and you can start turning that into Bitcoin over time, I think, in my opinion, that's the best way forward. And as Dale says, it's about building the bridge to the other side. And you have to be crossing that bridge too as you're building it. So it's risky, it is. But, you know, sometimes you have to take that risk. Hold on here. What do we got? Bren says, I want to use Sparrow, but I need a clean install operating system on my machine first. My shit is tight, so I'd rather just not touch it. No, that's probably a good idea. Although you have to keep in mind here that even if you're hooking up Sparrow to like a air gap device, there's nothing that can be done on Sparrow. Even if somebody hacked your computer, even if somebody stole your laptop, they can't actually send any Bitcoin out of there unless they have your cold card. So keep that in mind. It's a little bit different than keeping on like an Exodus wallet that's actually on the keys are held on your laptop and you sign things on your laptop. Whereas with an air gap thing like a Jade, cold card, passport, it doesn't really matter too much what kind of laptop you have. I mean, it's always better to be more safe than sorry, but Rick, did we smash the like yet? Hopefully the likes are up here. Duncan says, got some crumbs cleaned up today, feeling much better for it. So Duncan's referring to, yeah, sorry, Daniel says, just zap 10K sats for the jukebox. There we go. I think you'll like the clip. It's not a song. I think I know which one you're talking about, Daniel, and I do like it. And maybe I'll throw in a bonus one in there for you for tomorrow. So Daniel Zap 10,000 sats says, I miss seeing the zaps. So do I. It's not quite the same when you can't see who zapped. I mean, if I was on the other end of it, I probably wouldn't be zapping if my zap didn't show up. Doesn't really make much sense. I mean, there are people who do. There's anonymous people who like zapping just to give some value back. But yeah, the beauty of the Zap stream is you could just see the zaps. You could see who zapped. It was like I don't know what you'd call it even. Okay, let me see if Zap stream is working. Arnie just let out a big yawn. Yeah, not in there either. That's shitty. Oh, well. We'll figure it out. Anyways, Duncan's talking about here, got some crumbs cleaned up today. So this is kind of a message for everybody. I want to send this in a couple different directions here. But the first episode of Multi-Generational Wealth, I talked about, it was called The Crumbs, and not leaving any crumbs over here, because that's what's going to come back and bite you. You could have a really good setup, but 5 years ago, maybe you gave out your private key to somebody else just to kind of spread out your Bitcoin. So the first episode of Multi-Generational Wealth talked about how you can get rid of those things, how you clean up the crumbs so you can sleep better, so you can feel better about your Bitcoin, about holding the greatest asset that's ever existed, and things you can do, just small things, but you have to do them. So again, this multi-generational wealth course is going to be, we've done 3 so far, 4 is today, and then we're going to do it up until 2025. So, if you'd rather wait, it's going to be for sale after the whole collection, the whole series. But if you want to be there, if you want to watch the shows live, if you want to ask questions, it's $5. I mean, it's $5. I keep saying that you should have 5% of your Bitcoin stack invested in your security to secure that. So $5, I think, would be 0.0001% of that. So again, sign up, watch the course. Even if you take one thing away from it, I would say that that's worth $5. The UTXO one today is going to save a lot of people a lot of money in the future. This is a good point. And this is something, something else we talk about in this course is just best practices like this, like never saying your phrase out loud, never putting it in front of cameras, stuff like that. Charlie, oh my God. Do I read this out loud? Okay, I'll read it. No, I'm not. Yeah, okay, I'll read it. Charlie Dunn says, checking the price in the bull market is equivalent to jerking yourself off. Some of you are jerking yourself off 100 times a day. You're addicted to price porn. I mean, not wrong. Not wrong. I see it. Summer's up 25% today. Yikes. What's MicroStrategy at? Okay, come on. Oh, you know what we got to do? We got to give away some Bitcoin. $500. MicroStrategy started at 540 today and is on a sharp decline. $500. Wow. You have to love that, especially if you own some. A lot of friction right now between Bitcoiners and MicroStrategy holders. I don't know why. But the one thing I'll say on MicroStrategy, I know I've said a lot of things, and I did a video talking about it yesterday. But the one thing I do want to say on MicroStrategy is just be careful, right? Like, be careful, because every time there's a bull run coming up, people get distracted. Bitcoin is the one you wanted to be focused on in 2016, in 2020, and in 2024. And at all those other points, there was significant distractions, taking people's attention away from Bitcoin. Bitcoin's running up. You could do extremely well in Bitcoin if you just buy some and put it in your cold storage and don't think about it. But people get greedy. People start chasing the yield, the FTXs, the altcoins. They want more. The 100% up isn't good enough for people for some reason. And people lose that money and they get burned and they blame it on Bitcoin for the next decade. And then they have a fraction of what they would have had if they just would have fucking bought some, put it in cold storage, and never thought about it again. But they got greedy. And every cycle that happens, people get distracted about anything but Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the one people need to be focused on. And there's 1,000 other distractions. And I would say that MicroStrategy is the distraction this cycle. Do I own some? Yes. Would I buy some today? No. That was kind of my thesis. If you haven't watched that video from yesterday, that was kind of my thesis. I just said, wait till the premium comes down a little bit. It seems pretty high right now. And then load up if you want to. But like, Don't be chasing it. That's my advice. Okay, let's give away some Bitcoin. And never sell your Bitcoin for MicroStrategy. Even Saylor himself has said there is no second best. He said if he could own Bitcoin or MicroStrategy, his own stock, he would obviously own Bitcoin. So learn from him. Don't get greedy. Okay, we ready? Get your cell phones out. Point it at the screen, press send, and somebody's going to win some Bitcoin. $500 sats today. Yesterday we had 2,100 sat win. But as we know, the sun can't shine every day. Who says that? Here for a good time, not a long time. BTO? So have a good time. The sun can't shine every day. There you go. Congrats to whoever won that. Those sats courtesy of the Bitcoin Well, our favorite Bitcoin platform in North America. So if you're in Canada, if you're in the US, go to bitcoinwell.com/Jor and let me tell you why. Again, the best platform. That's who I use to buy Bitcoin. You can set up a recurring buy. You don't have to worry about UTXOs that way. I think that that's the best way. If you're not using an exchange like Bitcoin Well that has recurring buys that you can send to Lightning. So here's the flow there. This is what you want to do. You want to go to bitcoinwell.com/Jor, sign up for an account. You're going to get some free sats, minimum 2,500 sats just for signing up. But set up a recurring buy. And it could be $10 a day, $50 a week, anything you want. But that money will automatically come out of your bank account and it will go directly into your Lightning wallet. So set up like a Coinos wallet. Set up a Coinos wallet, put your Lightning URL in there, and it'll automatically redirect your fiat into Bitcoin into your Lightning wallet. And then once your Lightning wallet gets up to, let's say, 500,000 sats, a million sats, that's when you can send it through Bitcoin Well back onto layer one. No fees at all there. So that whole flow, you don't pay any fees. That's a dream in terms of UTXO management. That's the dream setup. And Bitcoin Well facilitates that. So that's what I would say to anybody out there who's thinking about UTXOs, thinking about DCAing. Brent says, I feel as though Bitcoin was designed for DCA. Only way. I agree with that. I strongly agree with that. Hey, look at this. Jay, good morning all. Cheers to the future. No doubt. Semler's buzzing. Semler, 25% out the gate. So Jason says, Brendan, who's right? We're talking about is MicroStrategy a pyramid scheme? And it's important to differentiate between a Ponzi scheme and a pyramid scheme. So I'm guessing Rajat said it's not a pyramid scheme, and I would be in that camp as well. So this is kind of what my thesis on it was yesterday at the end of the show. I said, people like saying that certain things are a pyramid scheme, like multi-level marketing, pyramid scheme. Everything is a pyramid scheme in the world right now. Everything. Any organization, for the most part, in the system that we live in, it's pyramid. It's centralized. That's what centralization means. There's somebody at the top, a bunch of people at the bottom. It's a pyramid. Is MicroStrategy one of those things? Yes, it's in the old system. It's centralized. It's no different than any other company out there. Think about Apple. How's that? There's a CEO, there's a board of directors, there's shareholders, there's employees, supervisors. It's a pyramid. Everything in a centralized system is a pyramid. Everything. MicroStrategy is in the old system. It's taken all of the fiat, it's shorting fiat and buying Bitcoin with that. So is it a pyramid scheme? It's no different than anything else. Does it need money to keep growing? Yes. But this is what you have to pay attention to with MicroStrategy. You have to watch the premium. And I don't know what the premium should be. I'm not anybody to say that. But I would say that if you're looking at comparing Bitcoin ETF to MicroStrategy share, Like let's say that you're thinking about this 6 months ago, you're trying to decide between the two. The thing with the ETF is that it's directly correlated with Bitcoin. So that's the floor and the ceiling, the price of Bitcoin. It can't go higher and it can't go lower. Whereas MicroStrategy, it can't go lower than the price of Bitcoin as well, right? If the premium goes 1-to-1, where the share price, the market value of the company is directly correlated with the amount of Bitcoin that they hold, that's the floor. It'll never go lower than that because it wouldn't make sense. If Saylor had $20 billion worth of Bitcoin, the minimum value of that company is going to be $20 billion. It will never be below that. So the floors for the ETF and MicroStrategy are the same. But the ceiling for MicroStrategy is much higher. That's the premium. So you want to pay attention to the premium. And I don't know what the right answer is in terms of where you should be getting into it and when you should not be. But I mean, it's never a bad idea today, even if, the premium is a little bit high. It's never a bad idea to just buy a couple shares in MicroStrategy and hold on to those. Think of them as Bitcoin, just like you do with Bitcoin. You buy 5 shares, you go to sleep for 20 years, you wake up, what are those shares going to be worth? They're going to be in a tax-free account, hopefully. And even in 10 years, maybe you pay off your house with that. There's not a whole lot of downside. There's a huge upside, though, when you're taking all of the capital from the fiat system and putting it into Bitcoin, and you're the vehicle to do that. Something there. Okay, we got Ballsy Golf in the chat this morning. TikTok next block. Let's fucking go. Amen to that. Okay, let's get to some news. We haven't done news for a while. Okay, I see some zaps coming in. I appreciate that. I know that we can't see the zaps. Daniel, I don't know where you sent the zap to, though. Nostr, maybe? Daniel, you have to answer me there. I don't know where the zap went. But even though people can't see their zaps coming in, they're still zapping. So thank you. I don't know who you are or where you're from or what you do, but thank you. 210, 69, 121, and 121. Thank you. I mean, that's a perfect like metaphor for Bitcoiners. Like nobody, I can't see who sent it, but they're still sending it. That's the Bitcoin community. I love it. So thank you for everybody who did that. Brian says, my boober uncle disclosed to me that he was stacking sats on Cash App since COVID-19 lockdown. Put a huge smile on my face. Wow. No doubt. Brennan says, I orange pilled my nephew yesterday and it was the best conversation we've ever had. That a boy, Brennan. Oh, we almost caught up on the chat here. Look at that. Ruby. Chris Webby, north of Richmond Remix goes hard. Highly recommend. Anyone else who bought the dip below 30K and feel like they still didn't buy enough? DCA, everyone. Never too late. Absolutely. It's going to be, there's going to be a time where people are going to wish they had bought Bitcoin below $1 million. Like this asset is designed to go up forever. Never had anything like Bitcoin before, where regardless of how much demand there is, actually, you know what? Let's start the video with that. Or let's start the show. Let's start the news clip with that today. With some Saylor talking about Bitcoin. I didn't send it. Of course I didn't send it. Why would I? Why would we, Arnie? He's unconscious by the looks of it. Okay, what do I need to do here? Send. We were so close, yet so far from being perfect this morning. Okay, in the meantime, I want to share something with you guys. This is pretty cool. Is this thing working? Yeah. Okay, so if you go to, this is for anybody out there, I know I've had several people reach out in the last week, ever since I started talking about QuickBit in Regina. So we got some pretty cool news here that I want to share with you. I'm going to bring it up just for some good visuals. And I'm going to do something. I didn't even tell Dale and Leander that I was going to do this, but this is what I'm going to offer everybody here. So this is QuickBit Regina, the only brick and mortar store in Canada, unofficially. But they are our newest sponsor on the show, and we're working together. We want to get this starter pack, which I promised for the last little while here. There it is, the 88 Sats starter pack. So let me bring this off the screen for just one sec. But the reason why this came to be is I was having a conversation with Dale and Leander, and I said, I feel like the problem with storage for Bitcoiners is that it's very difficult, not only to set up, but even just to buy it. Like, I don't want to shit on CoinKite here at all, but if you try to go buy a cold card and there's 100 other things that you need, but you don't need that, you don't know that you need them, it's a very intimidating and impossible almost task. So I said, we need to get a bundle where people can just buy it. They don't need to buy anything else. They don't need to go anywhere else. Everything they're going to have is in one box. And we even got a nice little box to put these in. So we're going to do the Jade. There's going to be a couple different options on here. There's a starter kit. There's going to be a multi-sig kit where you get a cold card queue, 2 Jades, and a bunch of other stuff in there, along with a consultation with me. But this is the first one that we're doing. So I think the other ones are going to be out later this week, I'm hoping. The multi-sig one. But this is the starter kit. So with this, you get the Jade. You get and this is the big one, the stamp seed kit. So you get a plate, you get the anvil, the hammer, the thing to stamp it on, and that's where you put your private key. This is what you want. This is fireproof. This is waterproof. This is making sure that nothing can mess with your private key. So this is kind of like the expensive part of the package here is this stamp seed. And you get some Bitcoin trading cards and, of course, the Blockstream Jade. And if you use the code 88 Sats, everybody in this community is going to get 15% off of that. So really, really good deal, the bundle there. But here's what I'm going to do. So eventually, when I see Dale and Leander again, I'm going to give them I'm going to sign a whole bunch of personalized notes to send out in these starter kits for people, just as like a keepsake or whatever. But we don't have those yet. So I know that there's been people waiting for this starter pack. And for the first 8 people, the first 8 kits that we sell, I'm going to do a free consultation with you instead, because you don't get the note yet. And I mean, obviously the consultation is going to be worth a little bit more than the note. So this is just something I decided I was going to do. You know, it's gonna cost me for sure time, and but that's okay. I want to give something back here to the community. I want people to take the initiative to buy this, and so the first 8 starter kits that we sell, you're going to be able to sign up for a free consultation with me. We can either walk through the setup of it, or we can chat for half an hour, an hour. You can ask any questions you want. So that's the offer that I want to give to the community here. So I put that link if you're interested, if you need a new device or you want to migrate from a Tangem or a Ledger, anything. We can talk about decoy wallets too and how to set all that up in the consultation. So the first 8 people to buy this kit are going to get a free consultation with me. After that, you get a nice note. Still good. But remember that consultation is not worked into the price here. You get it completely for free. So the link to that, if you want to go buy it, is in the show notes. I put it at the very top. There's a link there. If you use the code 88 Sats at checkout, you get 15% off of that. The nice thing about QuickBit, and this is why I'm going to be helping to promote them, is because companies like Blockstream actually encourage people to buy from their authorized retailers for a couple reasons. One of them is that you don't pay any duty. If you're in Canada here, you don't have to pay any import charges. So this is going anywhere in the world, by the way. This isn't just for Canadians or Americans. This can go anywhere. But also, you know, if there's somebody you can talk to there, and that's what I love about this. If you order something from QuickBit, whether it's this starter kit or anything else, they have people there 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And if you have any questions, they're more than happy to answer your phone call. And that's important, especially if you're somebody who's just getting into Bitcoin. Having somebody that you can talk to in person is a big deal. Support. So that's my offer for you. That is my offer for you. Again, if you want that link, it's in the show notes below. Miguel says, do you think Bitcoin will correct when it reaches 100K? I do not. I think it's going to explode when it hits 100K. I thought this was Natalie Brunel. I thought Natalie Brunel was in the chat, but it's Nathan Bruteni. I would say preferred to Natalie Brunel. Nathan, I've seen Nathan in the chat a couple times here recently. Hit the like button. Hey, TKS must be a watcher of this show. I sold my ETH a month ago. I mean, what can you say? If you've been watching the 88 Sats radio channel for the last year, you would have sold a year ago. I've been saying, doesn't matter what the price is going to do in fiat. Ethereum is going to continue to go down forever against Bitcoin. And turns out I wasn't lying. All right, let's watch Saylor. I think that Bitcoiners of any level will appreciate this. New Bitcoiners might not understand some of the analogies here, but I want to watch this. This is 5 minutes long. Saylor talking about Bitcoin. And the title here is from Hey Apollo Thomas. Says Saylor doesn't need to make Bitcoin a new Bitcoin presentation for Microsoft. Just send them this. So I got it on 1.25 speed.
With every other asset on earth, anything else you can own, houses, gold, silver, commodities, stocks, bonds, when the price goes up, the supply increases. If I increase the price of any stock by a factor of 10, the company issues more stock, of course. Bitcoin's the only thing in the world that's inelastic price. If the price of Bitcoin triples, you can't make any more. If the price goes up by a factor of 1,000,000, you can't make any more. In engineering, there's something called conservation of energy. And the whole point of conservation of energy is energy can either be made or destroyed. There has to be conservation of it. The mathematical metaphor and mathematical analogy to that is proper math. 10 plus 10 equals 20. 2 plus 2 equals 4. If 10 plus 10 ever starts equaling 18, you got a problem.
Yeah.
If you have a swimming pool with a leak, if I have an electric system with a short circuit, if I have a leak in my engineering system, nothing works. Nothing in the world of ocean engineering, aeronautical engineering, electrical engineering, nothing works unless you respect conservation of energy. The problem with inflation is inflation does not respect conservation of energy. I've got a leak in the system. I've designed a currency which is not conservative. So properly understood, if you said, I want conservative money supply, a conservative money supply would be there's $10 billion in the economy and nobody prints anymore.
Right.
And that's the Austrian economic sound money principle. Bitcoin is a conservative monetary system. It's the first system that respects the laws of thermodynamics, and the laws of physics, and the laws of math, which means it is true and pure. It has integrity. If you have integrity, if you have something which is true and pure, and you have durability, then you can build a family around it, a life around it, a company around it, or civilization around it. Steel is concentrated energy in metallic form. You ever walk in a steel plant and you look at the energy going into steel refining? It's concentrated energy. The history of the human race is the civilization that channels energy most effectively always wins. Steel trumps Iron trumps bronze. Bronze trumps rocks. Bows and arrows trump the guy with the spear. The guy with the spear beats the guy with the knife. It's always a matter. If you have air power, you beat land power. Sea power beats the army, and nuclear power trumps everybody. And so if I have steel, I have concentrated metallic energy, I can create a skyscraper punched up 100 stories in New York. How long will it last? 100 years. How long will a steel ship last? Longer than you will last, as long as it doesn't corrode. Wooden ships? Not so much. Wooden ships rot, right? You want to build a building and punch it up against gravity and hold it 100 years, you need concentrated energy. If you want to build a trust fund that'll last 100 years, how do you save $100,000 for 100 years and give it to your great-grandkids? You put it in the US dollar, you lose 99% of your economic energy. You put it in gold, gold supply doubles every 30 years. The gold bankers keep inflating the gold, maybe you lose 90% of your economic energy. But that would be a lucky happenstance because just about every country on earth seized the gold from their citizens in the last 100 years. Everybody, even the US, they take your gold. Yeah. So you want to save money for 100 years. You can't do it with currency. You can't do it with gold. Which company's going to be around 100 years? You want to put $100,000 into real estate in Florida? Can you buy $100,000? Let's say you could. 2% tax, 4% maintenance fee, 4% of $100,000, $4,000 a year. Your money's not going to last 100 years. How do I preserve my property, which is economic energy, which is capital, which is money? How do I preserve that? I need something harder, more durable. I need a steel. I need an economic steel. Steel is concentrated metallic energy. Bitcoin is concentrated digital energy. It's energy in digital form. I eliminated the friction on energy. What's the half-life of energy? I take a megawatt of power and I sell it at 12 cents a kilowatt hour. I have about $1 million. Okay, I'll give you $1 million of electricity. How long can you hold it in battery? You lose 2% a month. You can't hold it very long. You're going to lose 24% depletion rate in a battery of electricity. How do you send $1 million of electricity from New York to Tokyo? You can't. You can send electricity 500 miles over a power line. You'll lose 6%. Send it 10 times, you'll lose 60%. It doesn't move. Convert that energy, that electricity, into digital energy. Allow Bitcoin. You upgrade it. If you were to convert a megawatt of power via a Bitcoin miner into Bitcoin, you'd have about $5 million worth of Bitcoin. You can hold it forever. You can send it to Tokyo for a nickel. You can put it in a trust fund. Bitcoin's going up 170% a year for a decade. The S&P 500 index is going up 14% a year on average for a decade. Gold, it's flat. It's not going anywhere. It's getting demonetized. It's a dead rock in a basement. It's not fast enough. You can't put gold on an iPhone. Gold's getting depleted, inflated, and manipulated away by the bankers and the miners. So Bitcoin is simply pure economic energy. These engineers, Satoshi and all of Satoshi's compatriots, what they did is created an engineered monetary asset on an open, permissionless network that anybody could participate in. Any country, any company, any individual. You don't need a bank. You don't need to ask permission. It is the ultimate egalitarian system.
Say what you want about Saylor, but man, the guy knows what he's talking about. I don't think anybody could argue that. And yesterday on the show, I apologized to Saylor. I accused him of having a family when he doesn't actually, so that was my bad. But the other thing I accused him of being weird about Satoshi when Scottie Pippen was talking about it. So this is the tweet that Scottie Pippen put out yesterday. And so I wanted to reflect back on this as well, because it turns out I was wrong about both of those things. And that's okay. I'm allowed to be wrong, but I'm also allowed to question things. I think that that's the important part of this, that I watched the interview. I had weird feelings in my gut. I said, I don't know, something's weird here with Saylor, with his kids, with his family, with Satoshi, with Pippen. I wasn't sure what was going on there, but I was wrong. But you're still allowed to question. You should be. Always question. Even your heroes, you got to question. So this is the tweet that Scottie put out yesterday. It says, Michael's commitment to Bitcoin is the Satoshi dream. Sitting down for dinner at Michael Saylor's yacht. After our talk at the conference, the energy in the room felt like a bull's huddle, but this time the stakes are even more bullish. When Michael asked about Satoshi, I told him Satoshi isn't just one person. It's an idea, a legacy that started around the time we began winning championships back in 1993. That vision, a cypherpunk's manifesto, Eric Hughes, March 9th, 1993. And this is a quote from the cypherpunk's manifesto. For privacy to be widespread, it must be part of a social contract. People must come together to deploy these systems for the common good. Privacy only extends so far as the cooperation of one's fellow in society. That is true for both basketball and Bitcoin. Just like it had a team on the court, Bitcoin has its own team of believers, and Saylor's dedication to this technology is nothing short of legendary. Together, we discussed Bitcoin's potential as a treasury, a foundation, and a better world. I asked his thoughts on building a sports brand on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is about game theory, teamwork, and resilience, like winning championships in the face of doubt, critics, and non-believers. Michael's financial vision is as powerful as any play we ran on the court. He's a CEO who doesn't just understand the numbers, he embraces the risk, rewards, and the legacy. This is what sports and Bitcoin communities have in common. They both carry the Satoshi spirit forward for a better future. It's an honor to be part of all this. Just a year in, I'm still learning the world of Bitcoin, and it's an amazing community. Maxis too. Bitcoin for the win. So I was wrong. Because Scotty said that he met Satoshi in 1993. And I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this is actually what he meant. I have no idea. I can only trust what I see. But that makes a lot more sense than Pippin meeting Satoshi. I thought he was maybe on crazy pills or something. But that makes a lot more sense to me. Okay, we got Tommy D in the chat. Good morning, my friend. Anyone use Zappo Bank? From Charlie Dunn. Membership is only $1,000 a year for a membership. What does that get you? $1,000 a year? Seems pretty steep. T. Jacobson. Good morning, my friend. Hi, all. Hello. Matt. Morning, team. Does anyone else feel like we've been thunderstruck? If you're on Nostr and you follow me, you see that every $1,000 Bitcoin goes up, we play Thunderstruck again. And I got a nice surprise for us when we hit 100K here. Jason says, nice setup. The Jade and the Stamp Seed Kit. That's all you need. That's all you need. And I'm going to go back to this quickly. But, you know, if you're somebody who has a Trezor, Ledger, Tangent wallet, any sort of wallet, it's nice. You just get a fresh start, a fresh Blockstream Jade. It's air gapped. It's never connected to the internet or a computer. You do it on there. The first 8 people are going to get a free consultation with me to help them with it or ask any questions. And then you get the stamp seed to make sure that that private key, instead of trying to memorize it or worrying about the paper being lost, which I've seen before in my own life, you put it on steel. And you just buy one box, the Bitcoin Journey 88 sats box. It comes to you, everything you need. Orange says, I'm a physicist and I already bought a lot of Bitcoin for years. And then I stumbled on Breedlove's podcast with Saylor. Had no idea who he was, but the minute he started to use the thermodynamics lingo, I thought, oh boy, here comes the snake oil. What a scammer. Then he made sense. Then he made more sense. Then my mind was blown. Then he changed my understanding fundamentally. It makes so much sense. I agree with that. And just going back to what Saylor was talking about in terms of the conservation of energy, I think that's how we should start thinking about Bitcoin more than anything else. Even though it is a peer-to-peer electronic cash that you can send without anybody's permission to anybody else on the globe, think of it like a battery, conserving energy, because that's what money is. That's what your fiat is. It's the measurement of your time, your energy, and your value that you provide to society. That's what you get in return is fiat. And it's a very poor place to store value. It's the equivalent of buying 1,000 batteries, AA batteries on Amazon for $10. We've all done it. We've had to change the batteries a month later because they don't hold any energy. They don't conserve energy. That's fiat. And if you think about Bitcoin as the opposite of that, you think about the most powerful battery on earth, that you put something in there, you put energy into that battery, and you know it's going to be there in 100 years from now. No leakage. Zero leakage if you do it properly. If you got the foundation built properly, you got the knowledge, you got the cold storage device, you got the stamp seed, you have the conviction to hold through the highs and the lows, that Bitcoin, the only leak in that battery is you. And that's how you need to think about Bitcoin. And I hear people say, I mean, we're going to get called lucky as Bitcoiners. We will, and we are lucky. We are lucky, even though we've taken the time to learn about Bitcoin, to gain that conviction, to get through the lows and the highs. But we are lucky. We're lucky to be alive right now, because in 100 years from now, those people who are here would give anything to be where we are today. Anything. Even in 20 years from now, people are going to say, I wish I was born back in 2020, where you could get 1,000 sats for $1. So we are lucky. Lucky to be alive right now. We got buck 52,000 in the chat today. Word up, trapped in a Starbucks and no headphones, waiting for my car to get serviced. We'll watch later. No problem. We're here, and we're going to be here. Okay, what do we got over in the Zap stream? I see Rajesh's over there. I just came. I think I missed something. Well, yeah, we're an hour and 11 minutes into this. I said we weren't going to do another 2-hour show. I successfully built a Blockstream Jade with open source components, but I would not suggest it for anyone. It has some navigation limitations. Seed Signer seems good for future experiments. Good to know. Rajesh is our, what would you call him? The smart guy in the group. The nerd in the group. But nerds, don't sleep on nerds. Nerds are the ones who change the world, usually. Duncan says, put your phone on loudspeaker and an orange pill I run in Starbucks. That's a great idea. Oh, we got a couple 100% here from Lori from Orange. Good morning, Lori. Good to see you. Okay, well, let's get to the main point here. We're gonna jump over to the second part of the show here in about 10 minutes, I would say. So you can take this time if you want to be part of the multi-generational wealth course. We're talking about UTXO management today. I'm going to walk through a real life scenario. Then you can either go to the channel, just go to the 88 Sats Radio channel. There's a button that says join. Click that, $3 a month Canadian to join. And then you can just go to back to the 88 Sats Radio channel. There'll be a link there that you can click, and that'll get you access. Or if you want a little bit more, if you want to be part of the community, Signal Chat, Discord, and have access to the collection in the Patreon feed, it's $5 a month. So just go to the show notes. It says join Living in the Future. Click there, and it'll have a link in the Patreon feed. So that's how to do it. Hey, Danny, where do I recognize Danny from here? Were you in Fractal Bitcoin chat yesterday? Last night? I hopped on there at about 11 o'clock, which is usually when I go to bed. And that chat was buzzing. It's good to see. Shout out to Fractal Bitcoin. Great channel, great guy. I had a lot of fun over there. Yeah, it was Danny. There we go. I got a pretty good memory. Even though it was just last night, but still. A lot of names, a lot of NIMs, a lot of anonymous people, there's a name on YouTube that's different from Nostr and different from Living the Future and different than whatever, Twitter. It's hard to keep track of everybody here. Okay, so what I want to talk about today. Hey, look at this. Kyle, new member. Our newest Bitcoin Journeyman. Welcome, Kyle. That'll be absolutely the best $3 you've ever spent in your life. I promise. Okay, so the biggest risk in Bitcoin. What is it? Let me bring up the blog that I wrote today. By the way, if you don't have the daily Bitcoin journal every day, you're missing out. Some good stuff in here. It's free too. I mean, here, this is what I was thinking about as I was writing this today. I was like, in like 5 years from now, people are going to look back and say, okay, I could have got all this information, this daily blog about Bitcoin, tips, insights, experiences, lessons, all this for free, if I just would have known what was going on here. So this is on Substack. You can also find the link in the show notes to this. But again, it's free, so it's not a big deal if you subscribe or not for this. I just like doing it. but more people should be reading these, in my opinion. So some of the risks that people see in Bitcoin. What if the power grid goes down? What if it crashes to zero? What if the government shuts it down? What if? And I remember when I was an accountant working at the accounting firm for 10 years, I had one of my closest friends there at work, one of my coworkers there. He would always say, I would always have these ideas, just like now. I would always have these ideas, these initiatives that I wanted to do. And he would always come out and say, well, what if this happens? Well, what if this happens? And I eventually got to the point where I said, you know what? It might, but you're spending too much of your life. I said, you're living in if land. That's not a reality. That's a land of make believe. You're spending your whole life worrying about these hypotheticals that may or may not happen. You spend too much time in if land. And one of my favorite, oh, do I have it here? Yeah, let's watch this quickly. It should be in my history, but it reminded me of this video with Don Cherry from 20 years ago, probably one of my favorite guys that's ever lived, Don Cherry. And he did a post-game interview one time, and the reporter was kind of getting, he was asking him one of these questions, what if this, one of these hypothetical scenarios. And this is what Don Cherry replied with. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time. Look at this beauty. From the 70s, 50 years ago. Jesus.
End. When's it all going to end? You could just see when it was 3-1. One little mistake. Just waiting when it was 3-1. When's it going to end? I know how Williams feels now.
I guess a fellow like Rick Middleton really wanted to play badly against the Rangers.
Yeah, well.
Well, if you'd have won, you'd have been playing the Rangers.
Yeah, if my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle.
Don, you've seen a lot of games in hockey. How would you rate this one? A seventh game of the Stanley Cup Series.
I don't know.
Oh my God. What a legend, Don Cherry. He said, well, if you won, you would have been playing the Rangers. He said, yeah, well, if my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle. And it's the same kind of thing. There's way too many people who live in that world where they're always thinking, what if things go wrong? What if things go wrong? Well, I think we need to change it to what if things go right? And I think all you have to do is look at what's been happening in Bitcoin, objectively look at what's been happening in Bitcoin. There's countries buying it. There's countries mining it. There's public companies. In the last week, there's been 5 or 6 new public companies announced that they're putting Bitcoin on their treasury. In January 2025, Trump, the president of the United States, is going to be adding Bitcoin to the US Treasury, Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. What if? It's not priced in. Most people don't think it's going to happen, but I would certainly say that it is. It's going to happen. And it might take till June if they go through the normal process, the Lummis bill, or Trump could come out and say, sign an executive order, put it into place immediately. Everybody's buying Bitcoin. BlackRock, all the biggest money in the world is flowing into Bitcoin. And you're worried about things that could go wrong? Just take a look at this objectively and say, does it make sense for me not to have any Bitcoin right now? Imagine owning 0 sats right now after everything we've seen in the last 15 years, especially in the last year. Imagine owning 0 Bitcoin right now. So that's the biggest risk in my eyes right now, is not holding any Bitcoin, not holding any sats. And I said at the end of this, I said, as Saylor once said, only buy Bitcoin with the money you can't afford to lose. And I heard him say that live. I think it was at a Bitcoin conference. And I was like, what? Only buy Bitcoin with the money you can't afford to lose. Because most financial advisors out there who are very trapped in the fiat system will say, well, only buy Bitcoin with the money you can afford to lose. But Saylor's saying, only buy Bitcoin with the money you can't afford to lose. In other words, everything else is going to zero unless you hold Bitcoin. And just as famously, our favorite guy, Satoshi Nakamoto, as he once said, it might make sense just to get some in case it catches on. So the biggest risk in Bitcoin by far is owning 0 sats, owning 0 Bitcoin. So that's it. That's it for today. Hey, oh, there's a zap. Okay. 10,000 sats from Daniel. I see it now. Sorry about that, Daniel. I probably gave you a small heart attack there. Anyways, 10,000 zap has been received. I see an 88 sat zap as well. So thank you for everybody who zapped. Again, if you've been learning anything from the show, if you're not a Bitcoin Journeyman, if you're not a Living in the Future member, you've been watching the show, you've been learning some stuff, you feel like giving some value back, you can actually send it to our good friend who's left the building, Arnie. You can use the QR code there, scan it, and if you're on your phone right now, you can send it to adoptedson98@walletofsatoshi.com. One of the ways to support the show. But I would say, you know what? Join as a Bitcoin Journeyman, join as a Living in the Future member, watch the course, eight episodes in the series. I guarantee you're going to learn one thing, and that could be the difference between you having your Bitcoin in 20 years from now and not. So we're going to jump over there right now. We're going to talk about UTXOs. Tommy says, where's the journal? How do I get it here? I think if you just go to, well, it's in the show notes. The link is in the show notes. We've had about 10 new subscribers in the last couple of days. I don't even know what subscriber. I just like doing it. It's free. So I'm not selling anybody here on anything. It's free for everybody. But it's bitcoinjourney.substack.com. Or you can go to the show notes and you can find the link in there. Crypto Expert says, didn't know you guys were in on Fractal Bitcoin. Well, we were just in the chat last night. But yeah, I think there's 2 Fractal Bitcoins. One of them's a crypto show and one's a Bitcoin show. Tommy O. We got Tommy D and we got Tommy O. My real name's Tommy too. Did you know that? Bro, appreciate you. Of course. We're growing here. We're building. Bodhi says, biggest risk in Bitcoin is not learning everything you possibly can. Teach your kids everything you learn, then making absolute sure your stack, however small or large, is in cold storage. If Peter Schiff had nuts, he'd be my uncle. No doubt. Okay, let's hop over to the second part. We're going to talk about UTXOs. I hope you join us. If not, timeline, sorry. Hello from White Rock. Hello from Manitoba. We're going to talk about UTXOs. I hope you join us. If not, we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow for No Agenda Fridays. We'll see you there. Bye-bye. Oh, Arnie showed up. Arnie, I got some bad news for you. We got a little bit longer on here. Just a little while longer. Okay, are we still live? It says 47 people in here right now. I don't think that's true. I don't know. Whatever. If they are, I don't know. There must be a glitch in the system here. Okay, so we're not going to cut off the Zap stream. We love the Zap stream, people. So we're not going to cut you off today. But we got some UTXO chat today. So what we're going to do here, I hope the thing that you get from today, let me take this off. So this is going to be episode 4 of the multi-generational wealth course. And all 3 of those, if you haven't watched them yet, you can go to the Patreon feed. You can click collections. You find multi-generational wealth, and you can watch episode 1, 2, and 3, just the clips from that. So I posted those in the last week, I believe. And so it's very easy. You don't have to go through the shows. You don't have to do any navigating. You can just go directly to the feed, click collections, click multi-generational wealth, and you'll see all those episodes. And then I'm going to post today's either tomorrow or later today. So today's episode is going to be talking about UTXOs. And I don't want to get overly technical. I know that there's people at different stages here in the journey. And so I'm not going to get technical. I'm just going to show you exactly how it looks. So the one thing to keep in mind with UTXOs, a couple things. Number one, every time you send Bitcoin from an exchange, like let's say you're using Bitcoin Well, you send it from Bitcoin Well to your cold storage wallet, that's one UTXO. If you did that every week, that'd be for a year, you'd have 52 UTXOs. That's a problem, right? So I'm going to talk about kind of the ideal size of your UTXOs that you should be looking for. I mentioned the ideal flow there. This is something we should be talking about too, probably at the end of it, in terms of sending money from an exchange to Lightning and letting it build up in there and then sending it in one transaction to your cold storage. That's what you want to do. But I'm actually going to bring up my Sparrow wallet here, and we're going to look at the difference between one UTXO and 4 UTXOs. So let me find this, and this will give you a pretty good example of what a UTXO is and the impact it could have in the future if you're not doing things properly here. So let me get the Sparrow wallet opened up here. I had to change all my labels because I didn't want people to see. I didn't want to give away too much stuff, but I'm going to dox my balance here a little bit. Okay, so we got transactions and we got UTXOs. Okay, let's bring this up. So this is something that I would highly encourage everybody to be using. Sparrow. So I changed all my labels here just so it's, a little bit more private for me. I did write them down. That's one thing I'll say before we go any further here is make sure if you're using a wallet like Sparrow and you're managing your UTXOs, you're doing everything properly, you're writing down where they came from. It's important if you're like separating KYC and non-KYC Bitcoin, it's important to know where things came from. So Sparrow allows you to create a label, but the one thing you have to keep in mind here is you have to back up these labels. So let's say your laptop crashes. Even though you could restore your Bitcoin wallet and your Sparrow wallet, your labels won't be there. So you have to keep track of your labels. You have to label what they are, and you have to back those up too. I would suggest putting like a spreadsheet together. And, you can use it online or not. Nobody's going to be able to access your Bitcoin. It might give away your information a little bit. So maybe just use like a hard copy of Excel or just a notepad. But keep track of your labels in your Sparrow wallet. So these are all the transactions here that have happened in this wallet. You can see some money coming in, some money going out. And that's pretty consistent with every wallet out there. But if you actually look at the UTXOs, so these are my UTXOs within this wallet. I have 4 of them. So these are 4 Bitcoin transactions that I sent to this wallet, 4 separate ones. Each one of those transactions is a UTXO. And the goal here, the end goal is to try to have a minimal amount of these. I would say that you don't want one, because when you go to spend that Bitcoin in the future, they're going to be able to track that back to your big balance, right? If you had one UTXO and that's the only thing you're spending your Bitcoin from, people are going to be able to backtrack using like Mempool or a Block Explorer, and they're going to be able to go back and see what your balance was. So don't keep like your main stack in one UTXO or a couple of them. Don't be obsessed with having one. I would strongly suggest you don't just have one UTXO, but you also don't want 100 of them. So here's the thing you have to keep in mind here is that this one at the top here, I titled another half milli. We got half a milli, a couple 500,000 sat trans or UTXOs there, almost half a milli. And then this one was from, I said nail clippers. I don't know where the hell that came from, but I labeled it no KYC for 225,000 sats. So I'm going to show you a couple different things here. So you can actually, if I go to send, and of course I don't have an address here. Let me get my, how can I do this? Let me stop sharing this just for a sec. I'm going to go to this other wallet here. I'm going to get a receive address. Okay, let me bring that up again now. I trust you guys and girls, but I don't want to dox myself. Okay, so there's the receive address. I'm going to go back to here. Type it in there. We're going to label this one multi-gen. We don't need it. We're not actually going to send anything here. But I'm going to click max here. So you can see here, the beauty of Sparrow is you can actually adjust your fee. You can make it high priority if you're in a rush to send it. You can set it as low priority if you're in no rush. I would suggest using low priority if you're consolidating your UTXOs, because you're not in any rush, right? You don't want to overpay. You don't want to waste sats. And the nice thing about Sparrow is you can actually use the RBF feature, replace by fee. So if you set your fee too low, let's say I set it at 6 sats per VByte, and the mempool got really busy. There was a lot of people sending Bitcoin, and it jumped up to like 64, and it never comes back down to 6. I can come back into Sparrow and I can up my fee and it'll send the transaction. So that's why I suggest that everybody use Sparrow. For that reason mostly is the RBF feature. The last thing you want to have a Bitcoin transaction stuck. And that's going to be in one of our future shows. We're going to talk about the RBF. So just that's kind of one touch point for people right now. But anyways, I can change this. So let's just say medium priority here, like they suggested. This is directly tied to the mempool. So if we went to mempool.space, this would be the fee in there right now. This is directly tied to mempool. You can see the mempool size. That's what I use, mempool size. So you can see here, these are my 4 UTXOs. I clicked max. So it's taking all 4 of my UTXOs into the transaction. It's sending it to my new label, the multi-gen wallet, and then a fee. So these are the UTXOs flowing into my new one transaction. So at the end of this will be 1 UTXO. If I consolidated these, I'd have 1 UTXO left. So that's what it looks like right now if I sent the whole balance. So let's clear this. Let's go back to my UTXOs. And let's say I just wanted to, okay, what was the total fee on that? I'm going to have to write this down. I mean, you'll get the idea here after I show you a couple of these, but I'm still going to write it down. So the fee there was 4,600 sats to send all 4. 4,600 sats. Not great, but not bad either. Imagine if I had 40 of these, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. So we'll clear that again. We'll go back to UTXOs. And let's say the nice thing with Sparrow is you can actually choose which UTXOs you want to send. So let's say I wanted to send 1 million sats into a new wallet. I could select these 2. Or if I had a bunch of UTXOs with small balance, I could select those, consolidate it, send it to myself, and create 1 new UTXO. So in this case, I selected these 2 that I want to send, and you can click here at the bottom, send selected. So I paste in my address again. I'll just put M. I don't want to waste any time here. And those are my 2 UTXOs. So you can see here that the fee is half. So to send all 4 was 4,600. To send 2, it's 2,600. And if I clear this again, and I go back and I just select 1, I just want to send this to somebody, 225,000 sats. So we put it back in here. We got a label. This one's only going to cost us 1,600 sats for 1 UTXO. So you can see the difference there in the price that it's going to cost you to send these sats. If I was sending all 4 UTXOs, it was going to cost me 4,600 sats. If I was only sending 2 UTXOs, it was going to cost me 2,600. And if I just wanted to send 1, it only cost me 1,600 sats. So just to give you an idea, just to kind of drill this home in terms of what this means, this has nothing to do with how much Bitcoin is in each UTXO, right? And I want to demonstrate that. So if I go to 500,000 sats with this UTXO and I go to send it, it's going to cost me 1,600 sats to move 1 UTXO, regardless of the amount. So that's my 500,000 sat UTXO. If I clear that and I go back and send my 225,000 UTXO, it's going to cost me the exact same. 1638. So that's kind of the main thing that I wanted to drive home here today, is that this number could be 500 Bitcoin instead of 500 sats. This could be 500 Bitcoin, and it would still only cost me 1600 sats. So it does not matter how much Bitcoin is in the UTXO. It only matters about how many UTXOs you have. So if I had 40 UTXOs here, if I was DCAing every week, I didn't know what a UTXO was, I was sending money from an exchange to my cold card, and I had 40 of these, that would cost me 46,000 sats, I think. Yeah, it should be 46,000 sats. So this is just something you need to keep in mind. And the one thing I would say is definitely use Sparrow. If you're using something different, I would highly suggest getting a cold card or a Jade now with our package that we have. Get a Jade, hook it up to Sparrow, send all your Bitcoin there, and start fresh. You got one UTXO, then you can always add to it. So that's going to be your main stack. That's probably never going to move. And then every time you have like 500,000 sats, 1,000,000 sats, you send it to your Jade, and you'll have a few different UTXOs there, but it'll all be cleaned up. And in the process of this, expect that you're going to lose a little bit of sats, wasting it, but you're going to be consolidating. You're going to be moving all of your Bitcoin into a single UTXO. So a couple more things I'd say is, like, don't ever panic. Don't like go look at your Bitcoin right now, realize how many UTXOs you have, and just blindly do it or pay a high priority. Like, the fees are probably going to come back down to 2 or 3, 4 sats per VByte forever, I think. Because you have to keep in mind here, and this is something that I disagree with a lot of Bitcoiners on, is that if we go to send this transaction, people think the fees are going to go to like 100 sats per VByte or 200 because it's going to be so busy. I don't think that they are. Because if you had one UTXO, and let's say that we get to, assuming that we get to that level of demand, the price of Bitcoin is going to be very high. So let's say that we have, we get to 1 sat equals $1, which is $100 million Bitcoin. The mempool is full. You have to pay a lot. So this one single UTXO at 15 sats per VByte, in that case, would cost me $1,600. I don't even have it up here, but you get the idea. It would cost me $1,600 to send that Bitcoin. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to pay $1,600 worth of Bitcoin to send a transaction. So that's why I think that fees will always come back down. I think they'll probably be, it might even be like 500 microsats per VByte, because people just won't be willing to pay that much to send Bitcoin once the price gets high enough. So don't ever panic. Don't feel like you have to do it this week, consolidate all your UTXOs into one, but just keep it on the mempool. And if it gets down to like 4 sats per VByte, 3 sats per VByte, 2 sats per VByte, that's when you want to be consolidating. And to consolidate, all you will do here is you go to your UTXOs. So in this case, I would go to within this wallet, I would go to receive. I would get this address from my own wallet. I would get a receive address from my own wallet, and I would go to consolidate all of them. I would send all 4 of these to the address within my own wallet, and I would send them. And you can see here that all those 4 UTXOs would consolidate into my new UTXO. They don't leave my wallet, but they consolidate into one UTXO. So that's how you consolidate. You're just sending Bitcoin to yourself. You pay a fee, but it's consolidating it. And Sparrow Wallet would actually pick up on the fact that you're consolidating. It would be called a consolidation transaction, but that's how you do it. Very easy. But don't panic. Don't waste a whole bunch of sats trying to do this at 15 sats per VByte. You're going to have time. Probably in the near future, the fees will come back down. But just pay attention to this kind of stuff. Just have your process down where you're not creating a whole bunch of UTXOs. You have like a couple big ones with your stack. And then you could have, in terms of like other UTXOs, like a lot of people use 1 million sats as their minimum. I think that's pretty high. Like my minimum is pretty much 100,000. And the reason I say 100,000 sats is because two things. Number one, you can always consolidate later. Let's say you had 20 UTXOs at 100,000 sats and you consolidate them in low fee environment. You're good to go. Then you have a 2 million sat UTXO. You consolidate, you spent a little bit of sats, but at least you're getting it off of your Lightning wallet or the exchange. So, you know, is it more risky to leave 1 million sats sitting on a Lightning wallet just so you can send one UTXO? Or does it make sense to send it to your cold storage at 100,000, 200,000, those amounts, and then consolidate later when the fees are low? And the other thing too is, you know, with Bitcoin, if it does what we expect it to do, you have to keep in mind here that if you have 100,000 sats, think about the purchasing power with that. Think about how many times you're actually going to be sending 100,000 sats or more, right? We get to $1 equals a sat. You could buy a new truck with that, with one UTXO at 100,000 sats. And that's kind of what you want to keep in mind here is when you're going to be spending these sats in the future, how much you're going to be spending and how many UTXOs do you have based on that balance. So that's UTXOs. If you do have any questions about this, if I missed something, if you want more information on anything, just shoot me an email or shoot me a message in Patreon, and maybe we'll do like a UTXO point part 2, because this stuff is very important. I think that this is a very important part of your foundation that you're building right now. The last thing you want to have is a bunch of UTXOs, a bunch of dust, and it's going to cost you a lot of sats in the future. So hope you learned something there. Thanks again to all the journeymen, all the Living the Future members. I'd love to stay and chat here, but I got a meeting in 2 minutes here. So as usual, we're going to be rushing here. So have a great Thursday, everybody, and enjoy it. We'll talk to you first thing tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.